Greetings, fellow Gorehounds, and welcome back to a Blood Splattered vlog. I'm the Horror Guru.
I'm Count Jackula.
And today we're going to talk about Sinners, the latest film from Ryan Coogler and Michael B. Jordan, the duo behind such films as Fruitvale Station, Creed, and the Black Panther films.
Yeah, this movie is also known as Don't Let Whitey Bite You.
Yes. This movie is about two brothers, Smoke and Stack, in the Jim Crow South. They are gangsters. They're criminals. They just came back to their hometown from Chicago with a buttload of money and other resources so they can start a juke joint, which is essentially an old-timey nightclub. And they wanted to start a juke joint specifically for their black community, but unfortunately for them, the night of them starting this juke joint, vampires arrive and try to break in and kill everybody involved. That's the long and short of the movie, but there's a whole lot more going on in this movie beyond that.
Yeah. Yeah, one of the other things that's going on in the movie is they got two problems. The Klan and the fact that these people got no money.
Which is not very good for business, but at the same time, they want to give back to their community, but how long can they keep that running if they're already in the hole on the first night?
Yeah, they're in the hole on the first night primarily because they keep getting wooden nickels. Like literal wooden nickels.
Yeah, that's another element of this movie that's important to note. The vampires don't really come in until the last 45 minutes. Up until that point, it's a movie about two brothers trying to start a juke joint.
Yeah.
So in a way, it's almost like From Dusk Till Dawn, where it starts off as one kind of movie and then halfway through turns into a horror movie.
Yeah, but unlike the abrupt changeover of Dusk Till Dawn, this one is way smoother.
Yeah, there's a little bit more build-up to it.
Yeah.
The opening scene establishes that something horrifying happened that night.
Yeah.
And you see more of the vampire's shenanigans leading up to him showing up at their door. And one of the interesting elements of this movie is that the vampire is an Irish vampire.
Yeah.
His name is Remick. He's an Irish immigrant. It could have been very easy for them to make a version of this movie where the vampire is just an ardent white supremacist who's just trying to kill black people, but he's not. He's seen as a second-class citizen too. He also hates the Klan. The first people he kills are Klan members when he shows up. He wants to be part of their juke joint, but he's not part of that community, but he tries to force himself into it.
Yeah.
And so it is a movie about two lower class people in conflict with one another when one is trying to essentially take over the other. And not understanding what's important to the other one.
Yeah, and one of the metaphors of this is the fact that these vampires cannot enter a space unless they're invited.
No, which is really cool because it leads to a lot of really cool mechanical things throughout the movie.
Yeah.
Every time a character shows up at the door, once the vampires are known, they have to like go through this whole song and dance of like, no, you walk in. I'm not going to invite you. Like, you just come in if you want to.
Yeah. And so in many ways, it kind of turns into Don't Let the Whitey One In.
Interestingly enough, that part of the movie reminded me less of From Dusk Till Dawn and more of Demon Night.
Yes.
Where you have the demon outside who's constantly taunting them and doing all this dancing and shit.
Go down there, motherfuckers!
And in many ways, the Irish vampire almost acts like the character in Demon Night, and even does like this whole like Irish jig at one point.
Yeah. There is a bit of Billy Zane from Demon Night in that.
But unlike the Billy Zane character, he's a little bit more sympathetic, which I wasn't expecting that from the vampire.
Yeah.
The vampire's still a bad guy. He still almost represents the devil in the story.
Oh yeah.
The devil whispering in your ear, trying to make you go down the darkest of all paths. But he's also a very sympathetic devil at the same time.
Yeah, and it does have that kind of great, like, Tales from the Crypt kind of feel to it in its structure.
It really does. I really love the performance Michael B. Jordan does as Smoke and Stack, because they're twin brothers and they're both played by Michael B. Jordan, but they have very distinct personalities. You have Smoke, who is the gangster.
Yeah.
He's the gangster. He's the businessman. He's much more serious, all business. And then you have Stack, who is the much more carefree, much more free-going.
Yeah.
And they kind of have a symbiotic relationship where they make up for each other's faults. Where one always forgets to have fun, the other one reminds him to have fun. And when the other one always like leaves his back open, the other one's always there to watch his back. And I thought that was actually like really well handled, not only from the direction of the movie, because they do really really cool tricks, like that one scene at the beginning of the movie where they're handing off that cigarette.
Yeah. When they do it like 3 times.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, they're just showing off their effects at this point. But also, just the performances themselves are just really well done. And I think it's actually probably Michael B. Jordan's best performance, which is saying a lot because he's had a lot of great performances this last few years. So if you want to watch a movie where Michael B. Jordan gives it his all in 2 different roles, this is the movie for you.
Yeah.
The other part of the movie that's really interesting is the part of the movie that's not as addressed as much in the trailers, though it is intimated, and that's the musical component of this movie.
The movie has 2 musical numbers. Much like the 2 halves of the movie, they blend in seamlessly.
Yeah, the musical numbers are great, and music itself is very important throughout the entirety of the movie, because the actual main character of the movie isn't Smoke and Stack, it's actually their cousin.
Yeah.
Who is a musician who grew up with a preacher father and really wants to be like his gangster cousins. So he wants to play at this juke joint. So he's constantly at odds with what, his father wants versus what he wants, what his cousins think he should do because they think the life is too dangerous for him.
Yeah.
And what he wants to do. His musical ability, as stated in the movie, is so good it can summon the bowels of hell. And they do some really cool things with visually showing us metaphorically how powerful his music is. And we'll talk more about that in the spoiler section.
Yeah.
Because it's actually one of my favorite scenes in the movie.
It is. It's really good.
There's a lot of stuff going on in this movie, but one of the main takeaways I took from the movie is that this is a movie about celebration.
Yeah.
And the power of celebration in liberation, and how when you are celebrating, people will try to destroy that.
Yeah. And it's also specifically about the Black influence on American musical culture and folklore.
100%. There's even a cameo at one point in this movie. We'll talk about it in the spoiler section because it's major spoilers, of an actual famous jazz musician.
Yeah.
Who is very important to the history of Black music culture.
Yeah.
That ties into the rest of this movie. But we'll talk about that in the spoiler section because that's some major spoilers when that pops up. One of my minor complaints about this movie, and it's a real minor complaint because I could tell that they were influenced by various filmmakers like Guy Ritchie and whatnot, is I feel like the second half of this movie has one too many montages, if that makes sense.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of parallel actioning, and it's edited in a way that feels like a montage, but I can also tell they're doing the Snatch thing.
Yeah.
Where Snatch will have a conversation happening over here while a bunch of stuff is montaging over here. It feels like the entire last act is a bunch of those stitched together.
Yeah. I could have, if there's a complaint about this movie, it's I could have done with one less montage.
Exactly. And it's a minor complaint because overall this movie's a blast.
Yeah.
So Sinners is hands down one of the best movies I've seen so far this year. Even though I can point to other movies it reminds me of, scenes that remind me of The Thing, there's scenes that remind me of The Shining, there's scenes that remind me of From Dusk Till Dawn and Demon Knight. It still feels like a truly unique film.
It does.
There isn't another movie you can watch alongside it that's identical to it.
No.
There might be knockoffs of it going forward, given how successful it's being in the box office right now.
Oh, yeah, but this is one of those movies that is very, very, very unique.
Yeah, it is one of a kind currently, and so I highly recommend you go check it out in theaters. It is a movie about a lot of things, and we've only scratched the surface, so let us move on to the spoiler section so we can talk about some of the other stuff that we couldn't talk about because they are spoilers. So here we go. One of the things I actually really like about this movie is just the way it establishes things for the audience just from a storytelling point of view. When you see Smoke and Stack first doing the negotiation for the house.
Yeah.
Or the juke joint.
Yeah, the old sawmill.
The old sawmill that they're going to turn into their club. They have a threatening exchange with the seller. And you see one of the brothers circle around the other one while one gets in front. And so you immediately get to see their symbiotic way that they handle situations.
Yeah. And it's such a FX flex.
Absolutely. But then later on, you get an extended period of time where the two brothers are separated and you're watching how they act when they're not together.
Yeah.
And you really get an idea of how each of them balances out each other's faults. Because you get Smoke, there's a point in which some guys are trying to rob his truck and he shoots them in the leg.
Yeah.
And basically cripples them. Now it's very clear that if Stack were there, he would have let them go.
Yeah.
And he would have convinced Smoke to let them go.
Stack would have been he would have been nicer about it.
So Smoke without Stack is ruthless.
Yeah. All right, so one thing about dude's music is it can summon spirits from the past.
Yep. And the future.
And the future.
It connects the past, present, and future, which is kind of the movie's way of talking about the importance of music throughout culture.
Yeah, when they're in the juke joint and he's actually playing, and that's just part of the big musical number. At first, it's like everything that you expect. There's a guy like on a honky-tonk piano. All of a sudden, a guy dressed like Bootsy Collins shows up.
Yep.
And you're like, well, wait a minute.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, like, dudes dressed out of, like, Def Comedy Jam.
Oh, yeah.
Also show up.
Oh, yeah, but there's another aspect to this that's very impressive. It's all done in one shot.
Yeah, it's all done in one shot.
The musical number is one shot starting on him, and it goes throughout the juke joint. And as it's going throughout the juke joint, characters are coming in and out of the frame from, like, different time periods. Someone who looks like Jimi Hendrix showing up and playing guitar. You have people that look like Run DMC coming in and dancing. And it's just one long musical number that goes throughout the entire song that he plays, and it's just going in and out of time, leading up to the point where it's showing the actual, like, juke joint burning down, which happens at one point in the movie.
Yeah, it's the foreshadowing.
That is probably my favorite scene in the whole movie, is the song going in and out of time. But there's a whole lot of other cool scenes in this movie. There's a scene that's very similar to John Carpenter's The Thing, where the characters are all worried that someone inside the juke joint may still be a vampire, even though all of the vampires are locked outside.
All the vampires are locked outside,
So just like in The Thing, when they do that blood test, they have everyone go around and, like, eat a clove of garlic.
Yeah.
And if someone reacts, it's like, okay, that guy's a vampire, if they straight up start getting burnt by it.
Yeah.
There's also another character involved in this movie who's an interesting example of a certain type of archetype. There's like a femme fatale-like character in this movie.
Oh, yeah.
Who is the mixed race but ostensibly white woman.
Yeah.
Who's part of the community but is also an outsider to the community.
Yeah.
For various reasons. But she is very much someone who grew up with these boys.
Yeah. She's child in front.
She's played by Hailee Steinfeld, who you may know from True Grit and from the Hawkeye series.
Yep.
She does a really good job at her role, and I really like that of all the characters who really screws everyone over in this movie, it's her trusting the white person too much.
Yeah.
That ends up being the undoing of it all.
Yeah.
She ends up being their the mixed race but ostensibly white person.
Yeah.
Like, even though she is an ally, even though she is important to the characters, there is something dangerous about her.
Yeah.
That even she doesn't recognize.
Yeah.
Because she's got a privilege that everyone else doesn't.
Yep.
She can pass.
Yeah.
And even though she's trying to use that privilege to help them, it ends up screwing everyone over, which is unfortunate.
Yeah. One of the things I thought was really interesting was the Asian family.
Oh, yeah.
Because they point out that the Asian family sells to both sides of the street, as it were, to both the white people and the black people.
They own both groceries.
Yeah, they own both grocery stores, you know?
So they get to be part of the family, even though they also know that there is a barrier, there's a limit.
You know, but they got a place.
And I love what they do with those characters, because one of the, like, setups and payoffs they have in the movie is that the two of them go and help them at the juke joint and leave their kid behind. This becomes a problem when the vampires start, like, sieging the fucking juke joint, which creates a conflict between them and the rest of the people in the fucking juke joint because they want to get their kid. The mom, the Asian mom, she goes out like a badass.
Oh, yeah. Fucking kills a vampire while she is on fire.
It's pretty fucking gnarly and awesome.
And then, of course, you have the ending when, after they've vanquished all the vampires, or so they think, they still have to deal with the clan. That scene is very satisfying.
Oh, yeah, because it turns out the people that sold them the juke joint was actually the clan, and they were planning on assaulting the juke joint the day after the actual first opening.
Yeah.
Smoke, who's the remaining character because his brother got turned into a vampire over the course of the night.
Smoke and
the cousin.
Yeah, the cousin.
And the cousin. Yeah. Smoke puts on a last fucking stand against these fucking white supremacist clan members that show up. It's fucking awesome. 90% of the action scenes you see in the trailer with, like, him with, like, the Tommy gun.
Yeah. That's from that last scene.
He's not fighting vampires in that scene. He's fighting the white supremacists. And it's pretty fucking badass. While the cousin goes back to the priest, his dad, where this entire movie he's been told that the music's gonna summon the devil. And the music did summon the devil, essentially.
Yeah.
And he has a choice, put down the music, become a preacher like his dad, or continue on with the music despite the risk. And at the end of the movie, we finally get his answer where he decides that he is gonna go and continue on with the music and goes out and lives his life and becomes a famous fucking musician. We flash forward to the 90s, and he's now an old man.
Played by the iconic jazz musician Buddy Guy.
Who walks in on him in the middle of a bar after a show, but Stack.
Yeah.
Who apparently Smoke could not bring it to himself to kill, so Stack and the Hailee Steinfeld character show up as vampires.
90s rap vampires, too.
He's dressed like the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Yeah.
And like he shows up and like congratulates his cousin on everything, but because his cousin's gotten old now and he's at the last years of his life, he offers him the chance, if you want, you can,
I could turn you into a vampire.
And you can join us and we can keep going. And this is the part where after choosing the music, at the very end, he does not choose the devil.
Yeah, because he's like, I think I've seen about all I need to see here.
I've seen all I need to see. Stack is just like, all right, peace out, and then heads off with Hailee Steinfeld while we get one last performance.
Yes.
Which I also like that element because Stack has this whole subplot with the Hailee Steinfeld character where they want to be together, but they can't be together because she appears white, he is black, and she's got a husband who is white.
Yeah.
And so there's this whole like conflict of like, if I get with you, they're going to lynch me, like they're going to come and get me. So when they both become vampires and Smoke can't bring himself to kill Stack, they finally get to be together.
Yeah, because
as creatures of the night.
Yeah, because at that point, who's going to fuck with you?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
It's like, they want to lynch me? Let them.
Yeah.
I'll fucking rip a head off.
I will survive the lynching.
Yeah. Just start killing fools.
Anything they cut off me, I will grow back.
Yeah. Fucking vampire. Fuck you.
Exactly. So I liked that he got a happy ending.
Yeah.
But his happy ending is choosing the devil.
Yeah. It's a really cool movie. Hence, sinners.
Sinners. Everyone in the movie is a sinner. It's really well done. There's a lot that goes on in this movie. Even with everything we've said so far, I still feel like we're only scratching the surface, but we can only spend so long talking about it, so.
Yeah, this is a movie that's worth, like, many viewings.
Yes. So, check out Sinners. It is currently in theaters, and I highly recommend you go check it out and support Sinners because it is a horror movie that's currently #1 at the box office. It unseated Minecraft.
Yes.
If you want to contribute to a horror movie unseating the biggest movie of the year so far, go check it out in theaters. And with that said, my fellow Gorehounds, where can they find you, Count Jackula?
Well, you can find me here on YouTube where I stream every weeknight at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
Y'all know me, I'm the Horror Guru. You can find me on various social media platforms, but these days I primarily use Blue Sky, so follow me on there. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and don't forget to ring that notification bell so you're notified of my videos immediately upon their upload. And if you'd like to help out either of us more directly, be sure to check out our Patreon pages, and remember, if you decide to go the Patreon route, even $1 a month can go a long way, but we will certainly accept more. And with that said, my fellow Gorehounds, I want you to comment below. Be sure to comment below. Please comment below using the hashtag Don't Let the White One In. Use that hashtag, work it into your comment below. That way I know. That way Jack knows. That way the whole world knows that you are a sinner, boy. And, gotta be careful about them Irish vampires.
Yeah. Don't worry, just chuck potatoes at them. And you'll be okay.